We continue here from Lake Tahoe. It's American Century Championship presented by Greenlight Dispensary, and getting a chance to talk to a guy who is a mainstay. He's one of the faces of this tournament that people come out and look forward to seeing and playing each and every year. It's Daniel Whitmore. Everybody knows him as Daniel, right? Isn't that typically what when people yell, they're going, Danny, Dan,
no,
Danny.
You're yelling Larry.
Larry the Cable Guy.
Not a lot of people call me by my real name anymore. I started being called Larry since 1991. So it's kind of like a nickname. You know how, because I was on a radio station, and I was doing stand-up. But you have a radio name. I got a buddy of mine named Crash. I go, what's up, Crash? That's all I've ever called him my whole life. I've known him 35 years. I still don't know his real name because I've always called him Crash. So it's kind of a nickname. So if somebody's yelling Danny, I know I either went to school with them or they're a distant relative.
Or you got in trouble.
or I'm in trouble from the police
looking for Daniel Whitmore. I'm Larry. I don't know what you're talking
right.
about, man. Larry the Cable Guy is with us. So 91.
It's Whitney, by the way, not Whitmore.
Is it?
Yeah.
How did I get
I
Whitmore?
think he knows.
Where did I get
his last
Whitmore
name
from?
Instead of you,
I don't
Jason.
know. You know,
Are you
probably
sure that
know.
it's Whitmore?
You know, it's funny. Gary Busey, when I got roasted, Gary Busey was talking to me backstage, you know, and he was a super nice guy. But during the whole, every time he talked to me, we're really good friends, me and Whitey, me and Danny Whitey. Every time, and then when it was over with, hey, see you later, Gary. All right, Mr. Whitey. All right, Gary.
Thanks, man.
Whatever, Gary.
Well, I know it's Larry. It's Larry the Cable Guy. So, like 91, how do you develop Larry the Cable Guy?
You know, I did a bunch of characters on stage. I loved the improv aspect of stand-up, and I just was experimenting with characters, and I had 4 or 5 different characters, and I did a cable installer one time. It was kind of funny, and a buddy of mine had a morning show. He goes, man, that's hilarious. You got to call up like you're the cable guy, and we're getting cable in the studio, and then just start riffing off whatever, you know, politics or what. Because Larry is the cable guy, is very political.
Yeah.
You know, he's very, very Archie Bunkerish. But that's what I wanted to create, because I loved that show on the family.
Mm-hmm.
But Archie was such an a-hole, you know. But he was funny. So I wanted to create a nice, funny Archie that could say stuff where people are like, what? And then other people go, it's just Larry. You don't mean nothing by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like how my first movie, Health Inspector, was, you know, talking about, let me tell you something about these immigrants. You know, they may not speak English as well as you and me does, but, you know, just that kind of thing, you know, because so it was a whole, you know, Larry doesn't know how to say stuff, but he means well. That's kind of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it just exploded, you know. You know what's crazy is I would have never done it on stage, but a buddy of mine was trying to sell tickets, so he billed me as Dan Whitney, a.k.a. Larry the Cable Guy.
Wow.
From the Ron and Ron morning show. And I got kind of mad at him because I'm like, man, Les, you know, I'm saying stuff on the radio that I would normally not say. This is a character.
Yeah.
Well, it's sold out. 2 shows, 350 a show, like in 20 minutes. I'm like, holy smokes, really? So I went up, and I couldn't even do my act. People were yelling my catchphrases. And so the second show, he said, you ever thought about doing that the whole show? I said, no, I haven't. He goes, can you talk like that for 70 minutes? I
Wow.
I go, Les, I talk like a redneck 24 hours a day. You know, I hang out with. You know, we go to country bars 24 hours a day, country music.
Yeah.
I grew up on a pig farm. I got no hard time talking
From
like
Nebraska, you're good.
redneck. Yeah, I know, no hard time. So I went up. He erased my real name and just put Larry the Cable Guy up. And after the show was over, I'm signing autographs and taking pictures. And I'm like, hey, I got something going on here.
And is that when you just leaned into it?
That's when I said, well, you know what? If I get more radio stations to promote it,
Sure.
I think I could do something with it. And plus, it was fun to do. It made me laugh. There's a lot of times on stage that I'll just pop, you know, oh, man, that was – because you get into the character.
Yeah.
And then you'll tag a joke with something, and then I'll start laughing. And that's when I'll always go, sorry, folks, I'm hearing a lot of this for the first time myself, you know, because I really am. But it is a fun thing to do. I enjoy it. It's a good time. You know, I grew up on a pig farm. My wife grew up in a cattle ranch in northern Wisconsin. My kids are rodeo kids. My kid bull rides. My daughter, she breakaway ropes.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm not far off from the character, but But I was never political. My act was always goofy, one-liner, stupid Monty Python type stuff. Larry was political because that's how in the radio you had to talk about something in current events. So I had a big adjustment to make there. I just kind of incorporated my act into this act and talked slower and made up, ex-wives. And then as the career progressed, well, now I'm married. I got kids. I can't talk about the stripper last week. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, you can.
So I just kind of incorporated that in my family into it. But I made stuff up about it, But that's how you do it. That's what it is.
Well, that's one of the things that I think is fascinating about having sort of a character as opposed to sort of just Daniel Whitney up on stage is like a lot of the comics get their stuff from just real life stuff, real life things that are happening, whether they're touring or with their family, whereas a character, you're not walking around in life as Larry the Cable Guy. The things that are happening aren't happening to Larry the Cable Guy.
That's the crazy thing. People say, he's Larry the Cable Guy 24 hours a day. I'm not. I'm telling you when I'm Larry the Cable Guy. When I'm getting paid to be Larry the Cable Guy. Right now, I ain't getting paid to do this golf tournament, but Larry the Cable Guy brought me to this golf tournament. So Dan Whitney, they don't want golfing out here. They want Larry. So I'm going to be Larry. They got kids out here. Look, it's all entertainment. People that aren't in showbiz, they think sometimes, I don't know what they think, and I know there's some celebrities that all of a sudden they become, and they're 24 hours a day. I'm not. I got a wife, kids. I got a regular family. If you saw me in the grocery store, I ain't Larry the Cable Guy. Now, sometimes I'll have an accent because I had just come from Florida, where my other place is. I'm hanging out with my buddy Brad, who's, it happens. But I haven't really changed my lifestyle from when I was a kid. I'm still the same old, country kid that grew up on a farm in southeast Nebraska. But I think a lot of people think, though, that, when they watch celebrities, it's not, you got to understand, it's not what it appears to be sometimes. Like you go to I remember, like Kid Rock's a buddy of mine. I love Kid Rock's a super nice guy. Off stage, you'd be talking. I went to a concert one time with Montgomery Gentry. I did something over with them, and we were all going to go out to eat, and we're sitting there backstage, and he's got 5 minutes before he goes on stage, and we're discussing what steakhouse we want to go to. Just normal people. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, let's just meet here when I'm done. I got about an hour and 10 minutes, just meet here. And then all of a sudden, bang, bang, right? He goes, I got to go, puts his hat on, he runs out, I am cat. It's a show, man. Yeah. It's called showbiz.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love doing this. This is a good time, being able to come out here and golf, and the Mater character that came along.
Plus all the kids out there.
That's the cool thing. It brought in a whole generation for me. It's really funny when you talk about it, because people my age, 10 years younger, if you're if you're in your late 40s, early 50s, you remember Blue Collar.
Yep.
You remember all that. You remember my movies. You remember my Prilosec History Channel, all that. Well, now you talk to somebody 30 and under, and it's Larry the Cable Guy. I think I kind of heard of that. Mater. Oh, yeah, Mater. It's a whole deal. I freak out about that. And so it's really awesome to have these two different. I'm kind of like the redneck Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? Kind of like the redneck Eddie Murphy. So it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, your career is unique in that way. You went from a specific audience to now your audience is a younger generation. Like my son.
From strippers to kids.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes. And my daughter's 5. She runs around the house without her clothes on, and she's watching Mater, though. So it's sort of the same thing. Not having clothes on watching Larry the Cable Guy, not having clothes on watching Mater. So it could be the same thing. I don't know.
How did we get to this point in the interview?
Well, it started back in 1883, I think is when it really first started.
Well, have you thought about pivoting to Larry the streaming guy? With Netflix and Hulu and
let me tell you,
cable.
I don't know who's running these organizations, but DirecTV have got to be the dumbest people on the planet. I don't know how many times I've told my agency at UTA, go to DirecTV and have Larry the Cable Guy do your commercials. And go, hey, I'm Larry the Cable Guy. You know what? I have switched to DirecTV. And just do this whole sketch about cable and how it's not, and the DirecTV's the way to go. And then tour as Larry the DirecTV Guy. I mean, it's not only is it hilarious, but it's
a great time.
Be good money.
Larry the Cable Guy. Larry, I know you got to go play.
Do I got? You know, I'm ready for this golf tournament. I got a golf simulator, and I don't know if this is good news or bad news. I'm on my golf simulator to get ready to come out here, and I had to let 4 groups play through. Is that good or bad? I don't know.
Hey,
everybody in the neighborhood's got to go play through.
Fellow lefty here.
How many balls did you lose on the simulator?
That's the problem. I know. I lose balls in the weeds on the simulator.
I think we're discriminated against as a fellow left-handed golfer.
Absolutely. That is systemic.
Yeah, I can't stand you guys.
It's been systemic racism against lefties in this country for many, many years.
Off the course.
Ever since the Mayflower.
Yeah. Is that what it goes back to the Mayflower?
Goes back that far, huh?
Yes.
How many lefties were on the Mayflower? I'd like to know.
They don't talk about them at all.
They don't.
No,
had to be at least one, right?
Had
because
to be one.
he had to procreate some new lefties.
But we're not making many lefties anymore.
It really is.
If we are,
bad.
they're pitchers.
We will go to this. Well, in baseball, see, they're not discriminated against because they love the lefties.
Oh, yeah.
Golf doesn't like them.
No.
You'll go in this pro shop, and they got some of the greatest stuff in this pro shop. Clubs, nothing for left-handed people.
You try buying a glove. No.
No. As a matter of fact, I walked in. They said, "Get out. We don't like you here."
You open the door with your left hand. I can see that. Nope, you gotta go. You gotta go. Well, hit him straight today, lefty or righty.
Right? I will. Thanks for having me. I wish I was over a little earlier. I apologize, but
you're perfectly fine.
Getting through the crowds is unbelievable. I mean, it's so much fun. If you've never been out to Lake Tahoe for the American Century tournament, investments tournament, it's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, it is a good time.
It's my favorite trip of the year. Favorite week of the year.
Absolutely. All right, fellas.
Hey, thank you so much.
I love all y'all.